Hello dear students, in today's video we are going to look at the next topic of the chapter life process. So far we have discussed about human digestive system, human respiratory system, and this module we are going to see about the human circulatory system. So what is the main organ that supports the circulation? So that is called the heart. So here you can see the structure of heart, which is made on a thermocol sheet. So do you know some fact about heart? So even if you take out the heart, even as long as it gets pure oxygen supply, so it will keep on working. So it has got its own electrical signal generating system, so that will maintain the functioning of heart even after a person, or even after the heart is removed out of your body. So now you can see where the heart is located. So it is located between the lungs in the thoracic cavity. Almost the size of the heart is almost the size of your clenched fist. So nearly it is tilted to the left side, and somewhat only 1/3 of the part belongs to the right side. So when you look at the heart, so first of all we will study about what are the major parts of the heart. So here you can see the heart is divided into mainly 4 chambers, the right part and the left part. The heart is mainly divided to right side and left side, a septum, and the right side is again divided into 2 parts. The upper 2 chambers are called atriums. The lower 2 chambers, these 2 are called ventricles. The right one, this particular chamber, this is called right atrium, and the lower part, the lower right side, this chamber, that is called right ventricle. And when it comes to the left side, this is your left side. So when it comes to the left side, the upper chamber is known as left atrium and the lower chamber is known as left ventricle. So there is linking. The blood can flow from atrium to ventricle. So here the right atria and right ventricle, the blood flow is regulated using tricuspid valve. A valve is present over here, so through which the blood can flow from right atrium into right ventricle. So this flow is regulated by a valve known as tricuspid valve. And when you come to the left side, the upper chamber is called left atrium and the lower one is called left ventricle, and the blood flow from left atrium to left ventricle is regulated by using a valve called bicuspid valve. So which has got 2 cup-like opening. So it will allow the blood to flow from atrium to ventricle. So once the blood flow downward and not upward. When the ventricular contraction, the blood cannot flow back to the atriums. And you know that our heart, human heart, and especially mammals, so they have got 4-chambered heart. And why it is so? Because we are hot-blooded, warm-blooded animals, and at the same time we need to spend a lot of energy in order to keep our body warm. So we can't tolerate much large mixing of deoxygenated blood and oxygenated blood. So here on the right side, right part of the heart which carries deoxygenated blood, and the left part or left side of the heart that carries oxygenated blood. So this thing you need to keep in your mind. Now we can discuss about the vessels which are carrying blood to the heart. So the one here you can see, first we are going to see the right side. So the right side, so there are the impure blood from the lower part of the body that is carried towards the left atrium through inferior vena cava, and the impure blood from the upper part, that is head, that is carried to the right atrium through upper vena cava or superior vena cava. So these two blood vessels carries the impure blood to the atrium. Then from the right atrium, the blood flows to the right ventricle. And from the right ventricle, when it contracts, the blood goes through. Here you can see this particular blue mark over here. So these are pulmonary arteries. During ventricular contraction, so the impure blood from right ventricle will move to the lungs for oxygenation. So that particular part we already discussed in the previous video about the human respiratory system, how the oxygenation and deoxygenation, that deoxygenated blood, how it gets oxygenated in the alveoli. Then when you come to the right side, or these are the things that are happening. So the impure blood, right side carries the impure blood, then it carries from whole of the body. The impure blood first comes to the right atrium. From right atrium, when it contracts, the blood flows to the right ventricle. From right ventricle, the impure blood now moves to the lungs for oxygenation. Then it comes back to the left atrium through pulmonary veins. And from the left atrium, that enters into the left atrium through pulmonary veins. So once the pure blood, that means oxygenated blood which comes from the lungs, enters into the left atrium. So then during atrium contraction, when the atrium contracts, then it will move to the left ventricle through bicuspid valve, and from left ventricle through aorta. This part you can see. So here mainly you can see the types of blood vessels. There are two types of blood vessels mainly we discussed about. See, the first one is called arteries. Arteries are mainly carrying oxygenated blood, and the second one, the blood will be under high pressure, and the third one, valves are absent in arteries, and the fourth one, the walls of the arteries are thick, and the fifth one, except pulmonary artery, all the arteries carry oxygenated blood. Here the pulmonary artery that carries only deoxygenated blood. You can see here this blue part marked. Then he comes to the another blood vessels that is called veins. So veins generally carry deoxygenated blood. So suppose after a hard exercise, when you open your fist or palm, here you can see a lot of dark colored veins. So what is the reason? The blood is maximum deoxygenated or carbon dioxide rich blood. So that's why it looks so dark. Then veins carry deoxygenated blood, and the blood flow through the veins which is under low pressure. The valves are present in blood vessels, especially veins. So this is to prevent the backward flow of blood. So here you can see the blood vessels, especially through veins. The blood is flowing with minimal pressure. So there are chance for the backward flow of blood. So in order to prevent that, there are valves present in between. Then the walls of the veins are elastic because the blood is no longer under high pressure. And the last one, the pulmonary veins, which carries oxygenated blood from lungs to the heart. That is the only exception. And all the remaining veins that carry deoxygenated blood from all over the body to the heart, especially to the right atrium, then to right ventricle, then to lungs for oxygenation. After oxygenation, the blood comes from oxygenated blood comes from lungs through pulmonary veins to the left atrium. Then from the left atrium, platelets might have had some cut anywhere in your body. So soon after the cut, what happens? The blood will start flowing continuously. So after some time, the blood flow will stop. So what is the reason behind it? So there are some components in blood, especially RBC, WBC. Then the another content is called platelets. So platelets are actually what helping blood clot. So it prevents the leakage. Suppose somewhere if you develop a cut or injury, so what happens? The platelets bound this hemoglobin and the blood cells, so that there won't be any more outward flow of blood. So the leakage of blood vessels, that will be immediately stopped, so that by preventing the blood loss. So these are the main topics of this particular part, and the next we are going to discuss about double circulation. Now we are going to see the double circulation. Why there is a need for double circulation in the human body, especially there are 4 chambers, especially the 4 chambers that are divided into right and left side. So the right side, I already told you, right side carries the deoxygenated blood, and the left side which is carrying oxygenated blood. So what happens here? You can see, already I told you the difference between arteries and veins. So this part, so these are this particular part, this represents capillaries. So arteries and veins, I already told you, arteries and veins again further divide into small single cell thickness blood vessels that are called capillaries. So that enters, capillaries enters into organs and each and every cells, so that each and every cell gets nutrients and oxygen from blood. So these capillaries are single cell thickness single cell thickness. So when the blood flows under high pressure through this particular capillaries, the nutrients will be diffused to the surrounding cells, and also oxygen will be diffused into the surrounding cells, and the waste materials will be passed on to the capillaries, and also carbon dioxide which is produced during cellular respiration, that will also be carried into the blood vessels, especially capillaries. So here we can see the aorta that carries pure blood from the left ventricle, that flows like this through this red mark, and at last it divides further into mainly hair of the size of capillaries are of the size of your hair, even finer than that. So as it divides, as the blood flows over here through the capillaries, this represents any internal organ, liver, lungs, or internal intestine. So even your limbs or head, any part, brain. So that receives, that require nutrients and oxygen supply. Then after a while, what happens? The blood becomes impure because it will get mixed with all the waste materials plus carbon dioxide that are produced as a result of respiration, that will go through this particular blue colored mark back, and this is called that comes from the lower part of the body, that is called inferior vena cava, and through this part it reaches the right atrium. From right atrium, the blood moves to the right ventricle. From right ventricle, you can see here pulmonary artery that carries the blood to the lungs. Here, that particular lungs, the lung capillaries, which is associated with alveoli. So here, the exchange of gases that will happen. The blood, the carbon dioxide dissolved in plasma, that will get into the alveoli, and the oxygen which is present in the alveoli will get into the capillaries of this particular pulmonary artery, and this capillaries will again rejoin so as to form pulmonary vein. So this pulmonary vein will now carry oxygenated blood from the lungs back to the left atrium. From the left atrium, the blood will be pumped into the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle, the blood will flow through the aorta to the lower part of the body and to the upper part, that means to the head. So why this particular separation between oxygenated and deoxygenated blood is necessary? Because human being, they cannot tolerate a large mixing of deoxygenated and oxygenated blood, because they require continuous supply of oxygenated blood in order to keep their body warm. Also, lot of amount of energy is required, as we are made up of trillions of cells. So all the cells, especially brain, everything, it requires maximum amount of oxygen, so that we are having this particular double circulation. So once this particular circulation, so here you can see on the right side, once the blood flows through the heart, impure blood gets into the heart, then it goes to the lungs, then again comes back to the heart, then again it goes out to the whole body parts. So that's why for one complete circulation, so the blood enters into the heart 2 times. So that's why the circulation is called double circulation. So in lower animals like birds or fishes, so they can tolerate the mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. That's why they are having 2-chambered or 3-chambered hearts. So, but we can't tolerate the intermixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So that we are having double circulatory system. So I hope you understood. Watch the video.